Reolink has made a battery doorbell before, not too long ago, but now they've come out with their version 2. It looks pretty much like a clone of their generation 1, but there have been some subtle changes made to it. What are they? And is the version 2 worth an upgrade? I will be going over everything from general specs to setup, as well as everything you can do in the app to a battery of real-world testing. I'm Wanderer001. We have a lot to cover. Let's get into it. First things off, I do want to state that Reolink did reach out to me and provide me with the Reolink Video Doorbell Generation 2 for the purposes of doing a review. However, they do not have any say into the content of this video. I would also like to say where I find differences between the Generation 2 and the Generation 1, I will point them out as I go along because, as I mentioned, they're a little subtler than you might imagine. They are pretty much exterior-wise exact clones of each other. Starting off with some quick general specifications, the doorbell itself is remarkably small for what it is at 6.3 inches by 1.89 inches by 1.16. It is made up of this matte plastic material with our shiny bits up here, which are hiding two IR lights, as well as our PIR sensor strip right across there. This is a heat-based motion sensor. So this is a battery-powered camera. That is how you're going to get your triggers. We also have an ambient light sensor, microphones, and then our camera lens. This is a 1/3 CMOS sensor, allowing you to see in fairly low light situations with a resolution of 2480 by 2480. Now that is a very boxy sounding video feed. However, because of the design and the field of view at 180 degrees diagonal, 150 degrees horizontal, and 150 degrees vertical, you actually get a clear image of somebody from the top of their head down to their feet. And for me, the important part is right in front of my door where packages tend to end up. In fact, where I have this mounted, not only can I see packages in front of my door, and when they're left by people delivering things, I can actually see my neighbor's house and their front doorstep. So if they happen to not be around, I can look and see if there's a box there to pick it up and take it inside for them. The FPS that you get from your video from this is going to be 15 frames a second. Coming down, we have a little Reolink branding, but we have this. This is a nice big push button, and if I press on this, it will send a signal down to the bottom where there's a speaker, but also to other things in my house. But it also lights up and it recognizes a person that will light up, making it much easier for them to click on this and not the lens or somewhere else. I've had other video doorbells that people will press on things that they shouldn't be when trying to activate the doorbell. This outer ring also is able to be adjusted with colors, and that part is really interesting. I will show you that in the application a little later. On the top, you're not looking at much except for your push pin release right there. You get a tool to do that. On the bottom, you're looking at your speaker as well as your lock mechanism into the back plate. If we come around to the back, this is going to be the biggest place that's going to differentiate it from the Generation 1. And I will bring that back into view so that you can see right here. These are metal contacts. This one doesn't have it. So here you've got your leads and then your metal contacts. Not only does the Generation 2 have the same 7,000 milliamp battery that the Gen 1 has, it has the ability to be hardwired in and not just trickle charge the battery, but actually give you access to 24/7 recording mode. So now you're not just dealing with triggers, you can record 24/7 as long as you have the proper wiring for it. Not only that, if you use the wired mode and an extra peripheral, I hate to say it, which doesn't come in the box with it, you can use your pre-existing chime box with this video doorbell, which is great. Coming back up, in between our two leads, we have our power button. This here and here, these little dimples are actually for the screws because they come to a rounded top. You can see I scratched up the bottom there a little bit, getting it in place. Right here, we have A weatherproof door covering up our micro SD card slot. This can accept up to a 512 gigabyte micro SD card, up from the 256 gigabyte that the Gen 1 could support. And then over here we have our USB-C charging port. This is going to be for if you're going to use it as a strictly battery powered option, not plugging it in. When I originally was testing this out, it took me about 4 to 4.5 hours to get this fully charged up. Reolink also says that you can expect to get 300 days of operation out of this, depending on the amount of triggers that you get. Part of that is due to the chipset that has been changed out from the Generation 1 to the Generation 2. This is now powered by a Qualcomm for low energy consumption. So that is what allows it to deliver up to those 300 days of battery usage, which is 1.5 times longer than even their original Gen 1. Now, this does vary on your use case. If you live on a busy road or have a lot of traffic like I do, you're gonna go through that battery a little quicker, but I appreciate the fact that using the newer Qualcomm technology, it allows it to sip battery instead of chugging it down for my use case on my street. Speaking of Wi-Fi, this supports both the 2.4 gigahertz as well as the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi spectrum. So whether you need those faster speeds or longer range from your Wi-Fi hub, you got that. I have been testing this with the 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi spectrum and have been doing just fine, as this is only a 2K resolution video doorbell, which is actually the same exact resolution that we had with the Generation 1. So you're not going to have to worry about needing 5 gigahertz, but it's nice that it's there. The doorbell itself also has an IP rating of 65, and of course, as I like to do during my testing period, we've gotten some rain, and this has been rained on, and it has held up just fine. Moving on to operational temperature, you're looking at between 14 degrees Fahrenheit up to 131 degrees Fahrenheit, so a nice operational range. The Generation 2 here supports voice assistants, and we get some extra ones. Originally, we only had Google as a possibility. Now this also supports Amazon's Alexa and IFTTT for your preferred voice assistant or smart home methodology. The doorbell, as I mentioned, by pressing it will set that off, but if you use it with those voice assistants, you can use them as a way of triggering audio inside your home, not just if you have a Echo Show, which would show you what the doorbell is doing. If you have ones that are just audio, you will still get a notification letting you know, hey, somebody's here. Echo and Echo enabled showing and showing.
Someone is at D340B.
And showing the Reolink right there. I can bring that up. The doorbell is also compatible with Reolink Chime version 2.1, Reolink Chime Plus, Reolink's Home Hub, and as I mentioned, your wired chime box using their RLA-PK1 extra module to make sure that you don't get a weird buzzing sound from your chime box, which I've done with other doorbells. It's rather odd. Now that we've covered the doorbell, what else do we get in the box with it? What I am going to say is one thing that's sorely lacking is actually Reolink's digital chime. Right now, you can only buy the doorbell as a standalone, not a package. Let me show you what else you get. Right up top, quick and easy to grab, doorbell. We've got a set of leads and then another set of leads. We have a USB-A to C charging cable, screws, anchors, as well as there's a little push pin there to get it off the door, mounting plates, flat and then edged, placement sticker, tips, quick start guide, and then other products from Reolink. Now that we know everything that we get, we move on to setup. How was it? Let me show you. Starting things off, we'll come up to the upper right-hand corner, press the plus sign. There is a QR code on the back of this that we need to scan. So did that off camera. How are we gonna set this up with the hub or standalone? I'm gonna use this as a standalone so I can choose a Wi-Fi connection, but we have to power on our device, which is located right there. Press and hold. you'll know it's on, you'll hear it, and then we will choose to configure. So it's kind of walking us through what we need to do. I got it. I've already kind of plugged it in. That is blinking. And now we choose our Wi-Fi network. So right after I put in my Wi-Fi network, it has a QR code that I need to scan with this. So we're going to hold them up like an ID.
Camera is connecting to your router. Please wait.
And we're going to hit next, and we're going to let that do its thing. And I did hear the voice prompt already, so we're just going to let it connect to the router.
Camera is connecting to your router. Please wait.
We'll give that a moment. So it's starting the initialization.
Connection to the router succeeded. Welcome to Reolink.
Connection succeeded. I had to tap that a couple times, but it did finally let me do it. What we need to do is create a device level password, and then I'm just going to turn off illegal lockout for now. So let me just create a device level password really quick. Once you have your password in place, you're going to select next. Going to give this a name, hit next, and things to avoid: frequently moving areas, directly into strong light, heat sources, and mirrors. We've got something that we can extend our warranty, but I'm going to skip that and bring this back into focus. I'm covering up the ability to share this device via a QR code. We don't want to do that, but we're going to hit next because we're done with this step. And now it's going to walk us through the installation guide. So we can either skip this or keep going. If we're going to do this wired, it will walk us through the wired step. If we do battery powered, it's actually kind of easy. It has a solar panel sold separately. That could be interesting. So now it's just going to walk me through, hey, hold it like this. There's actually my video. So next. Wedged versus not wedged. I'm not going to use the wedge. Hard wall versus soft wall. So mine's gonna be soft wall. And it's just gonna say drill this into place, and then click into place and you're done. And just like that, installation is complete. Now, I do not have a Reolink chime for this, so I'm going to say skip and then hit next because I don't have it. What do we want for its working mode? Power saver, smart power, or optimal. By default, it's doing optimal. So I'm going to leave it like that for now because it is a doorbell. I'm going to enable tamper alerts, and now it's done. So I can start using, and you will have to enable push notifications. So just like that, all as part of the startup. Keep in mind, you will need to put an SD card in the back of this if you're not pairing it to the hub, but I'm glad it doesn't nag you like other Reolink products do. With setup out of the way, we move on to installation, and depending on which way you're going to install this, you're looking at either easy mode or a little know-how needed. If you do like I did and you're just doing the battery, you put the faceplate up, screw it in, and then snap this into place. If you're going to be using the wiring, you will need to wire your leads in there and then kind of snake them through the faceplate to get this in place. Sadly, my place where my doorbell is really thin. So even with this very thin profile, it was a little tricky to try and get this running on powered mode. So I tested it on battery mode. Speaking of all the things that this doorbell can do, that's all done through the application. What I want to say though, before we get into that, is with Reolink, you get person, vehicle, package, and now animal included on the Gen 2, all this AI detection and notification for free without having to pay for a subscription. Reolink is one of the few companies out there that actually lets you do that. What else can we do in the application? Let me show you. Here we can see when we open up the Reolink application, we've got a quick snapshot of the last thing the video doorbell saw. In this case, it's operating in its battery only mode, which is why it looks like this. In the upper right-hand corner of this screen, we've got a little eyeball. If we click on that, it will enable and disable privacy mode, making it so you can't see anything. We also have quick access to our settings. Lower left-hand corner, it shows us when the snapshot was taken. We have our battery indicator right there. And then we have a clock with a reverse. That's going to be for your downloads and playbacks area. And then you can see it changed 52 seconds. So quick access right from there. But if we click on the doorbell to start things up, we've got the name of our doorbell in the upper left-hand corner. We've got a little Reolink branding there. Upper right-hand corner, we've got an alarm. If I tap that, that sets the alarm off outside. I can see the countdown timer there as it flashes. To the right of that, which is a little tricky to see just based on when I'm currently filming this, but we've got a set of 4 boxes. If I select this, I can select, hey, maybe I want to have multiple Reolink camera views accessible in this singular view. and then I can double tap to bring me into one. And if I double tap, it will also bring me out. You can see some of these cameras are currently off. To the right of that is our settings. We will go into that more in depth momentarily. To the right of our settings, we have our 3 dots. Selecting this will allow us to pick between our day-night modes, whether it automatically switches between the two. We can tell it to stay in black and white or night mode, or stay in color mode. Going back up to our dots, we also have immersive mode. This pretty much gets rid of all the actual controls, and I can just see my camera feeds. In here you can see I have several other Reolink cameras currently on. And then I can come back here and change how this looks if I just want to have the live feeds from my camera. And if I select back, that brings me back to the single camera view. And then last from this list, we have our picture-in-picture, allowing you to have a floating video feed while you're looking at other things, which can be helpful. Coming down, we have our play pause. Because this is a video camera, if I want to save on the battery, I can simply select to stop showing the video, but we're gonna have to turn that on for some of our other options here. So we'll give that a moment to connect back up. To the right of that, we have our audio, mute and unmute. We have take a still frame of whatever the camera happens to see. We have record, which will record any actions that are happening in the video as if they were a live feed or recording. To the right of that, we have our clear and fluent, or our high and low visualization. There are 2 places that you need to change this. So if you want the highest that this can put out, make sure you select clear, which is what Reolink calls their high settings. And hidden under the actual name here, this is our full screen mode. And you can see it does shift around the location of some of the icons when you're in this mode, but we can bring it back. That's all there. If we tap on our screen, we can get rid of all of those visualizations. This does support pinch to zoom. So if I come in here, I can pinch to zoom. This is a digital zoom. This is not a mechanical zoom, but for a doorbell, it does pretty well for what you're getting, even if it's doing this slightly fisheye look. Coming down, we have our tap to talk. If I select this, now outside, people are hearing me talk and wondering what's going on. I can hang up from here. We also have access to quick replies. Now, there are several different quick replies that you can utilize with this camera. They have a couple basic ones, they have some holiday ones, and then they have some sports related, or in this case, soccer related ones. Now, you do have 2 options here. You can press this one, which will allow you to hear what this sounds like through your smartphone, but not to the person on the other side. If you want to send this message to the doorbell itself, you have to select this option, which now sends that to the doorbell. And you can hear that, well, I could hear it talking through the doorbell as I'm looking at it. If we come up here, we have our settings for this. So you've got wait time, which can be adjusted. So anywhere from 2 to 20 seconds in 5-second increments. And that's going to be between door press and something like that happening. And then you have auto reply audio. And here you can select one of those things to actually happen when somebody presses. Now, there is also an option for my audio, which will allow you to record audio or upload your own audio to the doorbell. So you can customize this pretty extensively for a simple doorbell press. Now, I like the idea of having a trigger that will allow me to have a response like that. I just wish this part was a little better. We're going to close that out. We're going to come over to our video and playbacks. This is where all of our downloaded clips, or if you have this running 24/7, this is where you would come to see that. All these little blue tick marks down here, those are triggered events. If we look at our timeline here, that white indicator right there is this triggered event. It said it saw motion and it saw a car. Now from here, I can come in here and I can filter what I'm looking for. Answered calls, unanswered calls, person, vehicle, animal, or package. Now, new for the Gen 2 is this animal detection. They did not have that in the Gen 1. So that is a nice addition. You also have this zone loitering alert. So I'll show you where that is, but you can search for that. Now, if I do this and hit confirm, and that's actually my neighbor out there. If I select this one here, I have a pet. There is a deer hanging out right there. I have in the upper right hand corner here, I can adjust the speed of this down to 0.2 or 1 times. I can delete this clip. I can download this clip. If I select download, I get sizing handles, which will allow me to adjust the actual length of this video clip that I want. And then I can select download. Notice it's telling me it's clear, which means it's going to be the maximum video output that it can do. Coming down to our video area, we have play, mute, take a picture, record just like we could before, and then high-low. This is the other spot that you need to make sure that you adjust to the clear video setting if you want to download the high resolution video of this. And coming down, we have an adjustment for our timetable. Anything in white has something that you can go back and look at. We can adjust either our timeline view or a clip view, and it's always going to have what it was in the corner, kind of helping you filter through things visually, not just with our filter options down there. If you were running this in a 24/7 mode, you would have a fainter blue line all filled in here, and then you'd have your 24/7 in 5-minute increments, much like other Reolink cameras. To the right of our playback and downloads, we have cloud events. So if you don't have local storage and you want to, you do have the option for cloud recordings of your event. They do give you a free 30-day trial of their cloud storage, which you can redeem. And then the options will look very similar to what you had for your playback and downloads, except it'll be in Reolink's cloud. Coming back to our main page, there is one other way that you can operate this via talking, and that is if somebody pushes the doorbell button and you answer it as if it's a phone call. If you do that, it will give you extra options, including several voice mask options, which are interesting to have. I don't necessarily know if they're a necessity, but they're a nice add-on that Reolink gives you. Let me show you some audio samples quickly from that. There you go, that's pretty quick. And I can answer, and we get to see it like this. Phone's vibrating weirdly though, but I can answer, and this is a voice changer.
This is to test the audio. This is a robot. I'm totally not going to take over the world. This is Alice. So you're headed for the FBI or CIA. And then for some reason you have a clown, which is terrifying enough as it is. Why would you do this?
With all of our doorbell controls out of the way, we come up to settings. And first and foremost, up here at the top, we have the name of our doorbell, as well as the space utilized. If I select this, it's going to have a lot of sensitive information, so I won't be showing you that. Coming down, we have cloud, so you can claim your free cloud recording, which apparently is exclusive to this particular camera. Coming down, we have our power. Right now, you can see I have 62% battery. If I click into it, it shows me there. Working mode, I have custom mode, because I adjusted the sensitivity. But we have power saving mode, so prioritize saving power. Smart powered mode, after detected motion events, the device will kind of pause briefly to prevent repeated triggers. Optimal surveillance mode, and then the custom mode, which is me, I set 5 seconds, and then it says sensitivity is at 100, and then camera recording is turned on, and then I adjusted the post recording duration to 15 seconds. You can adjust that 8, 30, or auto. Uses AI to kind of determine what's best in that scenario. And those are all under our battery powered. If I select over to wired, you get similar options, but this one also has a record schedule, and I can't adjust that only because I don't have this powered at this time. I can switch to powered, which if I do this, it will need actual power, but it gives you access to the 24/7 recording option, which is different than the Gen 1, which would only trickle charge the battery. This Gen 2 keeps the battery topped up, but also allows you to record 24/7, which is a nice feature to have. Auto power saving mode, which will automatically be switched to if the doorbell drops under 20%. Got to turn that on for that to actually happen. And then you have battery usage, but you have to enable that permission, and then it will give you a graph of the battery usage for the doorbell. Moving on, we have our Wi-Fi. This will allow us to change or edit our Wi-Fi. Under that, we have display. This actually gives you a little view of what's happening. We can select stream, which we can adjust our clear or fluent. There are some options that'll let us do. We can adjust our frame rate from 10, 12, or 15. Resolution is stuck, and then max bit rate. I have 2048, but the default is 3072. Or we can come in here and max it up to higher if we wanted. And you do that for both the clear and the fluent or the low and high video options. Under that, we have motion box. This will be a little blue box, which you can actually see since this is a live view. It's putting it around the car right there. This will allow you to better track things that are walking or driving through frame. I keep that off primarily because, as you saw, there's a car there. It's not moving, but it's being picked up. Coming down, we have camera name. You can adjust its location, top left, top right, top center, bottom center, or hide. You have similar options for date and time, which I have hidden, and the Reolink logo or watermark, you can turn that on or off. And you can see up there, it gives you a visual display of how things will look in real time, which I really like. Image settings, we come in here, we can adjust our brightness. If your picture's looking a little dark, you can come in here and notice how I swipe that down. So you can see in real time, if I adjust this up and brighten up my image, you'll see it pop. And then if I lower that, you'll see it get darker, and we'll put it back to what it was at, roughly right there. We have anti-flicker, 60 Hertz, 50 other or off. That's mainly if you have LEDs that you're trying to compensate for their flickering. And then you have your HDR on or off, or you can select auto and just let the camera decide when HDR should be on or off. Coming down, we have our day and night mode. Right now I have it on auto, but just like we had on that front screen, I can change it to always stay in color, or I can change it to always stay in black and white. And then we have our privacy mask. If I create a privacy mask and throw that over that car over there and hit save, what this will do is create a black box in the visualization right there. So that black box will be in my recordings, in my live feed, and I will not be able to see what is behind that box. It is a good feature to have, especially if you live in close proximity like I do and don't necessarily want to get your neighbors in your recording all the time. Coming down, we have our sounds. This is record audio on or off. If you live in an area where you can't record audio, that's how you turn it off. Doorbell button sound, you can turn that on and off. And then there is a volume control, as well as you have options for a tone. Just under that, we have our speak and quick reply volume. So this is the audio that you get through the camera. So doorbell sound, how high do you want it? Audio sound, how high do you want it? And then auto reply, as I showed you before, wait time, and then auto reply audio. Coming down, we have light. So we've got infrared lights. Those are going to be the 2 IR lights on the front of the camera. You can close, which is turn off, or leave them on auto. I recommend leaving them on auto because you will need them. And then you have your button ring light up. So we've got close, which turns that button light off completely. Auto, the button ring light will respond to when a person is detected or the button is pressed, or two-way audio is activated, meaning when somebody walks up to the camera or the camera sees somebody and it recognizes them as a person, it will light up and let them know, hey, you're being recorded, or hey, press here, or I'm currently talking to you. And then we have auto, always on at night, meaning, hey, just keep this light on all the time when it's dark. And then right here, we have ring color. So we've actually got some options here where we can have solid blue, or hey, you want a more gradient where it looks a little different? You can do that. So hypothetically, if you're changing this for specific times of year, I can do a red, I can do a green. Maybe I like this lighter teal, I can do that. There are options for you, just like with our gradient. If I come in here, it'll give you a visualization as to how this looks. Some of them might not come out as good, especially taking an image and trying to share that. Coming down, we have our chime. This will give you options for your existing chime box, your Reolink chime, or smart integrations, either with Alexa, Google Home, or IFTTT. So if you have Alexa set up and somebody pushes the button, it will actually pop up on your Echo device. One, if you just have an audio Echo device, it will tell you somebody's at the blah, 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 whatever you named it. Or if you have the Echo Show, it will show you whoever's standing out there. Now, the ring chime, I don't have. It's an extra peripheral, but I've had similar with other doorbells. It's a little box, you plug it in, and it'll ring that. Existing wired chime, you can connect your existing chime, or you can walk through the advanced setup and it will kind of help you set that up because there's a few extra steps you have to do. Coming down, we have our PIR sensor, on or off, sensor detection sensitivity, and then triggers between. Now on a battery powered camera, I can understand limiting it to 5 seconds. Detection alarm. This will allow you to have the alarm go off for doorbell. Yes, the doorbell has an alarm for person, vehicle, animal, package, other, or zone loitering. So let's say person. We want to set an object size. We can set either has to be a maximum of this size or a minimum of this size to have a trigger. And you saw you can do that for each of these different types. Not only that, you have the ability to adjust the sensitivity, and then for that particular type, have a no detection zone. So for me, I have pets that come up here, and I don't really care about them if they're up there, but if they're out there, I do care. So I could set up don't tell me or don't detect in that zone. Now, because this is a PIR sensor and a doorbell, it's going to set up a little higher. So where I marked off might not actually set it off, but it's nice that it's there. You also have zone loitering. So you can set this up where, hey, if somebody's hanging out here on my front steps, and then you have exercising handles if you want to really fine tune this. But if I set this and somebody's hanging out, a person or an animal, vehicle, yeah, I guess you could do that. Then you're going to set off an alarm. And you can set a delay, and you can set your sensitivity. Higher sensitivity means quicker response time. But you could set up a loitering alarm. See, area 1, I could set up one for people, I could set up one for pets, and this is just another way that Reolink gives you extra customization with their doorbell. Coming down, we have camera recording. You turn this on or off, and then you can set up a motion schedule. So I do have everything. And then you have your detection type. So ring, person, vehicle, animal, package, visitor, or other. Keep in mind, if you don't set them here, you will not get notifications either. So it's a double kind of work in both places. And then you have adjustments to your post recording. How long do you want it to record after a detection event happens? Push notifications, you have on or off. If you turn it on, you have the ability to, hey, incoming calls, do you want that on or off? So that's the use it as if it's a telephone call instead of just a doorbell press where you get a notification up there. Select your ringtone. Notification style, you have text or text and image or text and GIF. You do have to subscribe for these latter two. So for me, text and the video call has worked out perfectly fine, and they're free. And then you've got your alarm notification type, and then schedule. When do you want this to happen and for what events? Notice I turned off vehicle because I get a lot of vehicles. And then we also have snooze alerts, 1 hour, 2 hour, up to 24 hours. It's nice that it's not just, hey, turn this off. I like the set it for an hour so I don't have to remember to come back and turn it on. Do I wish it was a little easier to find? Yes, but I am happy that it's there. Email alerts, this is going to be similar to push notifications, except you would set this up for an email instead of receiving the alert on your phone. FTP, this is how you can set up FTP for this particular doorbell camera. If you don't know what that is, probably stay out of there. But if you're looking for it, that's where it is. Siren, you have siren on or off. You've got default sound. You've got a pre-alarm sound. So when motion is detected, you will hear the pre-alarm sound from the camera indicating the camera is determining that there's motion. So you can have a, hey, I know you're doing something in this area, and hey, get away. And then you can set up a schedule, and again, just like everything else, event trigger types. Coming down, we have our assistants. So in this case, I have it linked to Amazon's Alexa. And then I could do this for my other Reolink cameras if I wanted to right from here. We have our tamper alert on or off. Strongly recommend, if you're using this in its battery powered state, remember to turn this off when you take it down. I have done it. I've taken it down. It has gone off while I'm trying to charge it. It's not quick and easy to disable. Reolink, maybe make that easier to disable. Have something flash up on the front screen. Just saying. Privacy mode on or off. This will, when it's turned on, completely black out the screen. You can't see anything through it. It won't record anything, and it's going to do that until you disable it. So right here, you can see everything's changed until I disable privacy mode. Coming back, we have our share this device. If I select share this device, I can set up a user alias. I can allow them to either be an admin or just view only. I could set up an authorization time frame, which is great. And then when I hit next, I can send them an email request. They will need to have their own Reolink account in order for this to work, but that's a small extra step. We have time lapse. If I select try it now, it's going to give us some options: moving clouds, sunrise, sunset, construction, blooming, or custom, which will allow you to set when to start the capture, how long you want this capture to be for. You do that in days, hours, or minutes. The interval between captures, the video quality, clear or fluid, and then file type. If you're going to use time-lapse, make sure you use a video type, not a picture type, unless you feel like stitching together hundreds or thousands of images. Coming down, we have our installation method. This will walk you through the proper way to install your doorbell. We have file encryption. This is an extra layer of protection that you can give. Yes, you have an SD card on the back of the camera. Yes, the camera has a tamper alarm, but that's not to say somebody who really wants to get at the information on the doorbell couldn't get to it by smashing things up. If you enable file encryption, what that will do is if a person gets access to your SD card and puts it into their computer, it won't work. So if you need that extra level of security, that's where it is. Webhook, you can add yourself webhooks right here. Again, this is a feature. If you don't know what it's for, don't play with it. Coming down, we have advanced features. We have our illegal login lockout, on or off. This is if somebody tries to access your account that accesses this device. If they put in the wrong password 3 times, it will temporarily lock out accounts from getting in. You have change device password. You have your date and time adjustment, and then update this device. So if you need to, it will automatically let you know when there are updates, but you can select, hey, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to update my device. You also have set up as an account device, reboot and restore under our administration or the extras area, advanced options right there. And then we have log out of this device and then delete this device. And that has been everything that we can do for the Reolink Video Doorbell Generation 2 in the Reolink app. Now that we've seen all the things that this doorbell can do in the application, we move on to testing. I like to start off with audio, both from the camera and from the application, as well as, yes, pushing the doorbell and hearing how loud that is. Let's take a listen.
Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Test 1, test 2, test 3, end test.
Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Test 1, test 2, test 3, end test. Alarm test. Doorbell ring test. Tamper alert audio. Automated quick responses.
I think you've knocked on the wrong door. The door stays closed. If you're looking for Santa Claus, he lives somewhere else. Whoa, solid defense here. No entry allowed at the moment. Please retreat to the sidewalk.
With audio out of the way, we move on to video. First and foremost, up there in the upper right-hand corner, I will have a link to the raw video files from this, as they will be downscaled to 1080 in this video. Let's take a look. Manual recording, not an actual triggered event, because I wanted to make sure I got as much as I could. Recording again, not a trigger, because this is way, well, here it would trigger, but out there not so much. All right, again, this is a manual recording, up close and back. Low light situation, try not to fall. No overhead lights, it's got the IR lights. As we come up, get close, try not to fall, top down. This is the same video example with the lighting as close to what I could get it, because it didn't record the first time. This is non-HDR, just to give an example. And this is an example of same time frame, same lighting situation, HDR turned on, showing the brightness and everything. Next test, we move on to detection speed. I will be utilizing their free tier, which is just the general notification for all of my notification speed tests. 5G on my smartphone, and I'm using a weird camera that's giving me lines. Okay. It should catch me when I get to the end of the driveway in the visibility, but the PIR sensor is pointed in a different direction, so to speak. It's not actually lined up with that. So this will be test number 1 to see when it picks me up based on motion down here. So here, I know the video can see me, but I'm not anywhere really in line with the PIR sensor. So we'll see when it actually picks me up. So now I'm in front of the doorbell, right there. Stop. All right, so about 14 seconds. All right, we're gonna try and do this with the lawnmower going, because this is when I got time to do this. So I'm gonna try and get to the end of there before I start clicking it, and I'm walking across, and then it should see me. We'll see how long that takes. So we'll say here, and then, yeah, there we go. That's much better. Based on where I have the PIR sensor pointed, if you line it up better, it's about 4 seconds, which is pretty good, actually. Tricky to do the same time, but okay. By the way, official notification speed test was like 3 to 2 seconds for this to this. Now that we've covered our testing, there have been some incremental updates from the Generation 1, and it's a very solid doorbell. However, that does not mean that there are a few cons or shortcomings that I want to bring to your attention for your consideration. First and foremost, this is a 2K video doorbell. This is not a 4K video doorbell. It is the same exact resolution as its predecessor. It's also very easy to confuse the Gen 2 from the Gen 1. When I flip them over, like I said, the only thing that I can tell them apart without putting them in the application is this metal bit here. If you look at the back, their product name is exactly the same. So I wish Reolink would have done a little better job differentiating the two of them. Next, the fact that it doesn't come currently with a chime in the box or part of a package, I feel deters from it a bit. If you don't have an Alexa ecosystem or a Google Home ecosystem, then you're relying just on your physical chime if you get that extra peripheral, or just your smartphones. When you get a doorbell like this, I feel a chime should be included. Moving on, the quick replies could be a little confusing. It took me a minute to realize, press the one side, it plays on your smartphone, press the other side, it sends it out. So if you're not gonna set up those automatic replies, just know left, hear yourself, right, let the person outside hear you. Coming to the back, the USB cover here, and this is the same thing I said about the other one. It looks like you can put it back like that, but you can't. It's not gonna seal correctly. I wish that Reolink would have moved this over to the side instead of keeping it at the top where it can get in the way. Moving on, we have our IR night vision. There were occasions, depending on proximity to the doorbell and my face level, that it did blow out my face and make it a little tricky to see who is at my front door. Now, that might not be a problem for you. I was doing extreme testing for this, approaching from lots of angles, moving rather quickly. Just keep that in mind as a data point for yourself. Now, as an upgrade from the Generation 1, purely as a battery-powered doorbell, the reason to upgrade might not be as apparent, as most of what has changed is under the hood. Better power management, slightly more on-device storage, extra detection types, and additional voice assistant access. Might not seem like enough of a reason to upgrade, and you might be right based on your use case. However, if you're looking at the Generation 1 and the Generation 2 as your first doorbell, then hands down, the Generation 2 has enough upgrades to make it worth it being your first pick. The version 2 will also be the better winner if you're looking to use it as a powered solution with the 24/7 recording and ability to use your own chime box, albeit with an extra peripheral. But if you're looking for a video doorbell that's backed by Reolink's security first mindset, you can't go wrong with Reolink's Video Doorbell version 2, and I can recommend it. However, if you're interested in the version 1, I will have a link up in the corner that you can click on so you can compare the two for yourself. But if this sounds like the battery or wired video doorbell you've been looking for, I will have a link where you can pick one up for yourself in the description area below. Or if you prefer, on screen now, I will have a QR code that will bring you right to Reolink's website. If you appreciate the time and effort that goes into making comprehensive videos like this, make sure to hit that thumbs up to help other people find the video as well. If you like what I'm doing here and want to be notified of my next review, hit that subscribe button. Still not sure if this is the right battery-powered doorbell for you? On screen now, you'll see 2 other reviews that I've done to help you make a more informed decision for yourself.